Hi, welcome to my Busy Cooks VIP kitchen. Today I am going to make kind of a little sweetheart's sip and snack. And the first thing we're going to make is chocolate dipped strawberries. It's actually super easy and really delicious. So I'm going to kind of turn my camera around and we're just going to work together here in the kitchen. I'm hoping I can angle the camera so you can see what I'm up to. The workshop actually had some posts that talk a little bit about the ingredients that we need. And really simply for this, you just need strawberries, and preferably ones with stems because it makes it really much easier to dip. So I picked these up today. They're pretty ripe. We don't really want a whole lot of white showing. You want nice, fresh, ripe strawberries. And again, the stem, you don't have to have a stem, but it makes it easier. The other thing is chocolate. And I'm going to use dark chocolate because that's my favorite. And I'm also going to use a little bit of white chocolate just for kind of a decoration or garnish, if you will. I picked Ghirardelli chocolate. One of the best things to do when you're making something like this is not to use really inexpensive chocolate because it won't melt properly and it won't temper and it won't harden properly. So suggestion is really to stick with a little higher end chocolate when you're making these. So I am using, for tools, I'm using my Rock cooker stand, and I'm using actually a small pan. It kind of looks dwarfed in this big stand, but it still works because I don't need a large quantity of chocolate. And if I spread it out too far on the bottom, I won't be able to dip effectively. So as you can see, that everyday cooker stand, everyday rock cooking stand, slow cooker stand, excuse me, is working. And I've got some of the dark chocolate wafers in there melting right now. And so what we'll do is keep an eye on that as they're melting. And then when they're ready, we'll temper that chocolate and begin to dip the strawberries. Some of the other tools that I'm using are a silicone prep bowl. I'm actually going to melt the white chocolate in the microwave using the silicone prep bowl just to show the versatility of the tool and other ways to melt chocolate. But this silicone prep bowl actually has a little pour spout, and that's going to be really handy for what I'm going to do in terms of decorating these strawberries when we're done. So that's one thing. I'm also going to use my little mini mix and scraper. It's like one of my favorite tools. I use this all the time. And of course the rock crack has a lid, so we'll cover that. Excuse me, and a sheet pan. I have a sheet pan and a piece of parchment. I'm just going to put down in the sheet pan for the berries so they can harden on there and not stick to the pan. So those will be ready to go here momentarily as we wait for that chocolate to melt. In fact, while we're waiting for that, I'm going to flip this around to the other side of my counter for the sip part. And the sip part is a champagne cocktail, and it's a little bit busy here on my counter. So I get everything out that I needed. I have regular strawberries that aren't extra fancy with the stems, a fresh lemon, and champagne. I'm using actually a wine because I don't do the carbonation of the bubbles very well, but I would recommend that you use a sparkling wine or champagne or Prosecco or something of that sort. I'm using a little bit of whipped vodka for just a light touch of vanilla. And some of my tools for this drink are my deluxe cooking blender to make the strawberry puree that we're going to use in this drink, and my citrus press. This is the easiest and best way to do fresh citrus. I've had one of these for years, and it's probably time for a new one, but I hate to give up tools that there's nothing wrong with them. It's probably been upgraded since then even. And then I have my cocktail set, and the cocktail set comes with a number of tools, not all of which I'm going to use tonight, but so you can see it. It's got a muddler. It's got the cups for mixing and shaking, a bottle opener, a drink strainer, and a jigger. So we're going to use probably most of what I'm going to use is likely the jigger tonight and maybe one of the mixing cups. I'm also using a fine mesh strainer. Actually, I probably will use a mixing cup because once I make that strawberry puree, before I put it into my cocktail, I'm actually going to strain it just to make sure I don't get a bunch of seeds and things in the drink. So that's my mesh strainer. I think that's it. So let me check on the chocolate. Be right back. Nope, still not quite ready. So let's go ahead and make the drink. Why not? Why waste time, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is actually work on the strawberries. And to do that, I need to put some strawberries right into the blender. So I'm going to, excuse me for clearing my throat. Suddenly I have a frog in my throat. With my cutting mat and my favorite utility knife, I'm actually just going to cut off the tops of these berries and half them. I don't even have to half them, it's just old habit. Because the blender will absolutely take care of that. I'm not going to do too many because I really am just going to make a drink for my hubby and I. So I'll just do a few. So I've got a few strawberries on in the blender. Actually, I'm going to do one more because this one looks like it's pretty close to the end of its ripeness. And I don't know why waste it. All right. So we've got strawberries in there. And then I'm going to cut some lemon. And this is a pretty good, big size lemon. So I think I'm going to cut it again and cut it in half because it's going to fit in my citrus press. I bought a really big lemon. Probably should have gotten a little one. When you do lemon or fruit, citrus in the citrus press, it's actually best to put it with the rind up and press into your container. So I'm not sure if you can see me up that high. Let me check my view. Yeah, I guess you can. So we'll press that lemon right into there. What's interesting about this is that the lemon doesn't really, it's not a bright flavor of its own. It actually brightens the flavor of the strawberry. So you don't need a whole lot. And again, because I'm only making 2 small cocktails, we're just going to do a little bit. So I'm going to move that out of sight for the time being with the berries. Okay, I have to clean up some of this stuff out of the way. All right, and the next thing I want to do is add a little bit of that whipped vodka to the strawberries and lemon. And I'm really just going to do about an ounce because we're going to share this. Gotta go a little more than that. There we go, 1 ounce. Pour that in. And that's just going to give a very light vanilla flavor. Whipped vodka isn't exactly a plain vanilla flavor, but it's close, and it's not super, super strong. Sometimes vanilla can take on too much of a flavor or add too much of a flavor, and we want this to be a little more delicate. So we've got that, and we'll get to the wine or champagne in a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put the cover on here. Not a whole lot to this, guys. We're actually just going to put this on. Actually, I'm just going to put it on a smoothie setting. It's going to be a little loud, so bear with me. Smells like strawberry cheesecake or strawberries and cream. So that's blended. There wasn't very much in there, but it's blended. And I'm going to do a quick check on the chocolate. Nope, we're melting, but we're not ready yet. So what the next thing to do as you prepare for this drink is it's super simple. And while it looks like it may take a while to prep for it, this really doesn't take that long. And if you have all these tools, great. And if you don't, you certainly can improvise. A blender, whatever tools you have for managing all of these, you go for it. And so this one, actually, I'm going to not waste some of that. We're going to take the strawberry puree. If you recall, I said I was going to strain it a little bit. So I'm going to get my mesh strainer and one of my shaker cups, cocktail shaker cups. My mesh strainer over it. Champagne glasses. I jumped the gun on that. And I'm just going to pour that through. Now you could make this in a really large quantity if you wanted to, but since we're planning for maybe a little sweetheart treat and a sweetheart dinner, we're just going to go with a small quantity. Now it's straining. This is a really fine mesh strainer, so this is an opportunity where your muddler could kind of come in handy to help push it through the strainer. It's not required. You could use a different kind of strainer if you had one. That's okay too. But my goal really is to get the seeds from the strawberries strained out of this puree so that it doesn't add like a gritty texture to the drink. And there goes our grandfather clock, so forgive the background sound. Just try to press that through a little bit more. Oh, it smells so good. Fresh strawberries and whipped vodka. This might make a great topping for ice cream too. To think about that when ice cream starts coming back around. Anyway, all right, I think that's as far as I'm going to go with that. Much of what's left is actually the kind of the meat of the strawberries, if you will. So I'm just going to sit that right there. Actually, so I'll drip it all over the place. We'll get it out of the way. Right. And then simply pour some of your puree into the bottom of the glass. And again, we're just doing this for 2. So we'll just use it up. There we go. Fantastic. And it's almost this simple, right? So again, I'm using wine because I don't do the carbonation of a champagne, but and then all you do is just top it with your champagne or your in my case, wine. The recommendation is actually to use something that's dry so that there's a balance between the sweet and the dry. I'm not a big dry wine or dry champagne fan, so I went a little on the sweeter side. But there you have it. So you have champagne cocktails, strawberry champagne cocktails for 2. And I'm going to go ahead and try it. Oh, it's delicious. So there's that. So we'll set that aside. And I won't drink it all now because I want to be able to finish the video. And we're going to switch back to Strawberry Land. Alright, so we're going back to the slow cooker stand to take a look at our chocolate. And it actually looks like we're making some progress here. We are. It's all melted. Fantastic. What good timing. So the chocolate's all ready. And I'm going to, as you can imagine, just as simple as it is, I'm actually just going to temper the chocolate. And to temper chocolate, what you do is to take some non-melted chocolate and toss it in at the end. You shut your heat off. So I have the heat shut off on the slow cooker stand. And I'm just going to put, some unmelted chocolate now in. And it'll temper it so that it won't clump up. And so we'll add that. In fact, I'm going to actually just take that right off the heat for a moment and let this unmelted chocolate merge. And it will bring it down a little bit in temperature and allow us to go ahead and start dipping and have it just cool enough to start to harden effectively on the berries. So give that a little stir so that's tempering. And we'll get ready to start the strawberries. The good thing is the strawberries are rinsed, so they're ready to go. But these are the ones with stems, so we don't have to cut them, we don't have to trim them or anything of that sort. We're just going to dip them into the chocolate, and then, as you saw earlier, I've got a parchment on a sheet pan. We'll put them on there to cool, and you could stick them in the fridge. I don't have any room in my fridge right now. So we're just going to put them on the pan. It's cold here in Maine, so I think we'll be okay with temperature around here to cool them quickly. And so I'm going to take sorry that my spatula is probably in the way, but I'm going to take, see, chocolate's all melted. I'm going to take the berries and just dip it into the chocolate and give it a little roll You want to actually leave a little bit of the top of the berry exposed and your leaves, and then give it a second. Let it drip a little bit. If it's going to, yep. And then set it right down onto the sheet pan. So I'm going to get me out of the camera and let you kind of follow what I'm doing. So we're just rolling the berries into the chocolate. Now you could do this with milk chocolate, you could do this with white chocolate, whatever you prefer. If you have a favorite, that's okay. My favorite's dark chocolate, so that's what I'm doing. And again, I've got that ready and just rest it on there. Go to the next one. And we'll just do a handful of these. I'm actually going to, and I probably should have done that while we were waiting, melt the white chocolate in the microwave. In fact, I'm going to run that over to the microwave. Be right back. All right, I'm putting that in for about 25 seconds at first to see how it goes, because I don't, be honest, I don't actually melt chocolate in my microwave that often, but I have done it, and I just can't remember the amount of time. So we're going to be cautious as I proceed. But those silicone prep bowls are really great for things like that. It could be even outside of chocolate. You could use it for a multitude of other things, especially, excuse me, for something that you're going to need to pour. So again, dipping the berry. Let me check on that. Okay. Just starting to melt, so we're going to go another 25 seconds. And of course, it won't take long before it's buzzing at me again. But in the meantime, I'm rolling and dredging the berries through the chocolate. And that one is about ready as well. God, these are going to be delicious. Love these. And there's the microwave again. So my apologies for going off camera, but my kitchen's too big for me to get everything in at one, I don't even know what the word is, one view. I'll be right back. Oh yeah, so you can see that it started to melt the white chocolate. And if I could find a little spatula, well, I'll just use this one. This is Pampered Chef, and it's a really old one because it's maroon. They haven't sold that color in years and years, but I still have a bunch of them and I love them. They last forever. So again, we've got nice, easily melted. This is probably even easier than the dark chocolate. It went a lot quicker. Smaller container, easier to manage. Again, I'm going to take a couple pieces of unmelted chocolate to temper it. And it brings that temperature down so we don't clump and it doesn't over process. And then, in fact, I think we'll just stop here with the berries, because you don't want to watch me do this all night. And so we have melted white chocolate now, and I'm just going to finish by decorating these with, oh, actually, there's two things I wanted to try. One of the things that I read about, and I have never done, was to take a fork and actually use the fork to drizzle the chocolate on the berry. I don't know if you guys can see that. That kind of works. That's not too hard. Gives a little, that one's a little messy. All right, so that's one way. And then, of course, the other way is just to use the prep bowl itself, because it's stretchy, squishy, and we have the pourable spout. So we'll try to do it dainty so I don't get a boatload of chocolate everywhere. I'm not sure how well that's going to go. Sometimes the things I do are trial and error. So this one might be polka dotted. Let's try that. We're going to make little dots on here with the white chocolate. That's not as effective. So I take that back. While this prep bowl is fantastic for melting, I'm gonna go with it's not so great for pouring. And so we'll go back to the drizzling it from the fork, which seems to work pretty well. All right. And there you have chocolate covered strawberries for your sweetheart. And a cocktail to go with it. And so now that that's settled a little bit, you can see it's not quite as red. And the strawberry puree has risen to the top. So I'm just going to say, bon appetit. Thanks for joining. And if you have any questions, just let us know. Have a great night.